Bryan Wu is cool. It's really funny. I have them back to back because I felt like their strengths and weaknesses are opposite. So for Castillo, his strength is just floor of consistency
Hmm.
of you are going to pitch and you're going to get strikeouts with it. You're going to get wins. Like he's been that rock. He's called that. That's his Spanish nickname, right? And the thing with Bryan Wu is I actually like the skills more with Wu. I think his fastball sinker combination, he is really like a Zach Wheeler in this way, and with a really, really flat, like the flattest attack angle there is. And he still has some secondaries to work out with the slider or the cutter or changeup, whatever he's going to figure out there. He has to get a swing strike pitch out of it somewhere. And I do think of the time Bryan Wu does figure that out. Problem is that he's showcased himself as pretty fragile.
Hmm.
I believe he had the internal brace as his second Tommy John, or at least he had the internal brace. But he, in spring training, had the forearm injury. If you had Bryan Wu on your team last year, you know the whole: is he healthy? Is he not healthy? Is he healthy? Is he not healthy? And it took forever for us to get regular 90 pitches from Bryan Wu. But when he did, he's great. I think he's excellent. I think he's has so much potential. And
Hmm.
if you told me right now that Bryan Wu gets 30 starts this year, and none of them are capped as far as pitch count goes, I would say that Bryan Wu has potential for a top 10, if not higher. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really that Zach Wheeler thing. So I really dig it, but I just can't. He's just been so fragile. There's been a new thing every week with him, and it's very risky. I think he has. I know I talk about everyone having injuries, but Bryan Wu, I feel like you have to give another tier of injury risk. That's just like, oh man, I really hope it works. So I
Right.
think you're going to see people out on Wu. I think I have him higher relatively because I'm just such a fan of what he does. But if you want to get some just stable, good stuff, Luis Castillo is the one to go with.
Yeah, and listen, I gave my pitch mix presentation at First Pitch Arizona. I mentioned Wu splitting his slider into a slider and cutter, and I said in that presentation, if you could guarantee health, or if you had any better guarantee of health, he's a top 15 starting pitcher. Um, I I have him down at 30th. And it's basically the same thing. It's like
Yeah,
that's just a tier of guys where I think the upside is great, and I think there are risks because what we see from Bryan Wu is a clear top 15 starter. And if we can get past the health concerns, then I think, you're going to want shares of Bryan Wu on your team.
absolutely.